Hi, Craig and Aaron. I thought I would give you a video review of my comments about the paper. Let me say, it really reads like a graduate level paper, something certainly what seems to be beyond the undergraduate level. It it reads like a paper at a conference, a history conference, written by probably somebody with a doctorate. But this is not my area, and I have a number of questions. And my comments might be kind of like that of a participant at a conference where they often question each other's work and some of the premises and so on. So even though I will be doing that, it means, number one, that it partly reflects my unfamiliarity with the subject material. And two, questions about how you're orienting yourself towards this material, which differ from the way that I would, given a different background. Getting to the paper, I'm going to be jumping around from one thing to another. Let's start with just some usage. I've marked off here where I think you should put some of the things in the present tense. This way. Yeah. So examined should be examined, and accomplished should be accomplished, and so on. That's very minor. Here's where I have a major comment here that I think this needs to be reworked to some extent. I'm down here to the legitimation theory. This is drawn from critical legal studies, and I would say that there are probably a lot of historians who are not going to be familiar with this, and might even have a kind of jaundiced view of critical legal studies. Anyway, so what you need to do here is say something at the outset. You need to make a larger section out of this portion of the paper, and you need to say that this term is borrowed from critical legal studies off at the outset, and then you need to explain legitimation in a way that sort of simplifies it and helps you rely upon it as a term you don't need to explain, but you can be confident that they know what you're talking about from that point. Probably it's time to talk about another thing that crops up in your paper in a number of places. And one is this putative conundrum here that the British are experiencing, the need to treat the Iroquois like a state, yet also treating them like an inferior, culturally inferior group of villagers and so on. And what needs to be shown is how this is a problem for them. So one way of reading that is not necessarily as them having a difficulty in trying to separate these two ways of dealing with the Iroquois, but rather as a hegemonic strategy where they would maintain a kind of posture of high seriousness and formality, European formality on the one hand, when they have them sign treaties and symbolically gather, present them with these treaties and insist that these documents that suggest the superiority of the British way of doing things be kept in some kind of ceremonial fashion, even if they can't read them. And that in addition to and that this serious and formal way of interacting would be enforced with, say, with military power if need be. And then on the other hand, they realize that you can't use the iron fist all the time. So the other strategy would be a vernacular strategy where they deal in the vernacular culture and language of the Iroquois in order to try to cultivate them. And these could be two prongs of a conscious hegemonic strategy, how to maintain power over these savage people. Here at the bottom of page 1, where it says, the outcomes of those policies ironically contradict the legitimating goal and move the institution away from the normative framework, undermining or contradicting its basic values. In order to show that, you have to bring out some of the information that you found in your reading of the documents that suggested this interpretation to you originally. These documents reveal a complex story in which the British simultaneously regard the Iroquois' independence, so on and so on. Your insights about here have to be fleshed out at this point so that your use of legitimation theory seems legitimate for your readers. Okay. At this point, I should confess that I have some anxiety about asking you to do any of this because I'm treating this like a graduate paper, in an absolute sense, and you're applying to graduate school. It is an excellent piece of work, and this may just reflect my confusion about legitimation theory. From my perspective, I hark back to the idea of domination and strategies of control and so on. And in this, the way it's applied in the paper is just not something I'm not familiar with, and my comments might reflect my own ignorance at this point. So let me say that the other examples and the way the narrative flows together is very, very good, and I'm very impressed by how you were able to find all this and weave it together in such a nice, neat way. It shows high quality research, wonderful sources, going to the primary sources. So I would say if the kind of changes that I've suggested, I would flesh out what the legitimation theory is. Just don't assume that your readers are going to be so sophisticated that they will know how to apply that. To understand your usage, I went to the Steiker and Steiker document that you referred to in order to read it and see where they were coming from. And I still have some questions about how it's used in the paper. So wrestle with that, but not too much, because you need to get your applications out, and they don't expect a doctoral dissertation when you're simply applying to get in. So I think if I was on the admissions committee, I would see, here's somebody who has a tremendous amount of potential, has already manifest that in this document, and I would welcome them into the program. So good luck, and make sure you get your applications in. And I'm sorry if I cause problems with my comments.